Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is joining us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, what is the latest on the negotiations between Netanyahu and Gantz?
Well, Ephraim, we're actually looking at our watches to see what's going to happen. They really, as you just said, they only have till Wednesday midnight, so they really don't have a lot of time. The end of Passover starts tonight, so what they do from now till sundown is going to be very important. As I said, not much time, so they're running out of time. Rivlin right now says that he won't pick Netanyahu if these negotiations fail, but he's going to go directly to the Knesset. And then, as we've talked before, if the Knesset doesn't come up with a candidate or a government within 21 days, then Israel will go back to the fourth election. Now, this could be very dangerous for Netanyahu because, as we've discussed before, in this 21-day period, the actual Knesset can actually vote on legislation. And the threat from the blue and white is that they could bring up these anti-Bibi laws that would disqualify him from being prime minister. So it's a very pivotal time for Israel and certainly Benjamin Netanyahu right now.
So what is one of the major issues separating the two sides?
Well, one of the main points has been sovereignty, and that includes the West Bank, otherwise known as the biblical heartland of Israel, Judea and Samaria. Now, Gantz had wanted a veto that said that the next Israeli government cannot annex the West Bank or Judea and Samaria, and I should add the Jordan Valley, which is very important strategically. This is all part of the Trump peace plan, where it seems to give Israel the possibility of annexing Judea and Samaria and the Jordan Valley. And so this is a pivotal question. Right now, Gantz apparently won't veto that, but it's very important to many of these right-wing parties. In fact, there's reports that one of these right-wing parties actually may leave the government. That would allow Gantz and Netanyahu still, they have enough seats to form a government, but we'll see what happens.
Let's talk about the coronavirus for a second. What are the latest restrictions there in Israel and why?
Well, right now, there's a curfew that begins at 5 p.m. local time here in Israel. It's going to last till Thursday a.m. The reason for that, Ephraim, is because it's the end of Passover. And this is a time traditionally where people will go visit family members or friends and have a celebration of the end of Passover. But to prevent the spread of COVID-19, there's going to be 44 checkpoints on the cities preventing intercity travel, 9,000 officers. So it's an interesting aspect of what's happening. And one other point, Ephraim, is actually the bakeries won't open Wednesday night like they usually do. And that's when people go to the bakeries after 8 days of not eating any leavened bread. People want that bread, so they go right to the bakeries. Right now, those bakeries are probably going to open sometime Thursday morning.
All right. What are some of the ways Israel is looking to economically come out of this crisis?
Well, Ephraim, right now it's really tracking a lot with the U.S. They're trying to keep those at risk at home and slowly bring back the economy with, of course, as Lori's been talking about, that social distancing. We have to do that right now. We have to take our temperature when we come to work. We wear masks sometimes, all part of the new normal. But I think that's some of the aspects that Israelis are looking at to reopen and restart their economy.
So how do Israelis celebrate the ending of the Feast of Passover?
Well, tonight there's going to be a big meal for those families that can gather together. They won't be able to travel, like I said, from one family to another. This is an 8-day celebration. It began a number of days ago with the Seder meal, and then they can eat bread. But it's also a time of reading from the Word. They'll be reading from Deuteronomy and Isaiah, and they'll be reading the end of the Passover story when the Lord led the Israelites out of Egypt, out of their slavery and bondage, and then He led them by a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day, all part of the biblical story here in Israel.
All right, Chris Mitchell reporting for us from Jerusalem. Thank you so much for your time, Chris.